It's a great time to go ahead and kick it off. I mean,
All
we'll
right.
have people join along the way.
Okay.
But happy Tuesday, everybody. My name's Aaron Conant. I'm the co-founder, managing director here at BWG Connect. We're a giant networking knowledge sharing group of brands. I kicked this off 6.5 years ago out of a need that I had on the brand side to connect with other brands and hash through biggest pain points, newest trends and strategies. And so I spend the majority of my time doing that now. Would love to talk with anybody on the line today. Just shoot me an email, Aaron, Aaron at bwgconnect.com. And that's where we get the topics for these calls. So we stay incredibly relevant. And we're also asking everybody, hey, what's working for you and what's not? And that's where we get the sponsors for these calls and the resident experts that we bring on. If there's any of this stuff that you missed, a lot of the stuff we capture in the podcast, the digital deep dive, feel free to check that out. And last couple of housekeeping items here is we're starting 3 to 4 minutes after the hour. And just, everybody, we're going to wrap up early as well. We're going to give you plenty of time to get on to your next meeting without being late. The last thing is we want this to be as educational, informational as possible. If you have any questions whatsoever, drop them into the chat or drop them into the Q&A section, or feel free to email them to me, Aaron, Aaron at bwgconnect.com. So now, if we kind of like set the stage for the conversation as a whole, voice of the shopper, it's changing so fast. It's completely different than a conversation we would have had 2 years ago. And everything's changing so quickly that it's coming up over and over again. A lot of money is being spent, customer acquisition cost. And we're trying to look at all the different angles of improving conversion, whether it's on your direct consumer site or it's on Amazon or Walmart or other marketplaces. And so we've got some great friends over at Cohley. They've been friends, partners, supporters of the network, and a ton of brands in it for years now. And Kim's here today from the Cohley team to kind of, help us go through the insights that they're seeing. They kind of sit on a cutting edge of the shopper side of things, the UGC side of things. And so, Kim, I'm going to kick it over to you. You'll do a much better job of explaining Cohley than I will. Feel free to jump in, background on yourself and Cohley, that'd be awesome. And then we'll kind of jump into the conversation. Sound good?
Sounds great. So Cohley is a content marketing platform. We really help our clients, generate videos, generate photos, UGC that is, off the charts, drives awareness, drives consideration all the way through the purchase funnel. So we support them in all that. We're also looking at like the synergy between text and video reviews. So we really have a great client base and we have a blast doing what we're doing. So thanks for having us here. Myself, I started my career back in the day when I was working part-time through high school and college, working in retail, and fell in love with not only retail, but brands. And through my career, I've had the great opportunity of running a few companies, being an ex-CFO, being in an insights company. And, when I met Aaron and his team, I hit it off and I thought this is going to be a great conversation, and let's put together some topics that's on everyone's mind, and then let's drive the conversation and let's ask some big questions and let's see how everybody's reacting and what they have plans going into 2024.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So again, if you have questions along the way, drop into the chat, drop into the Q&A or email them to me, Aaron, Aaron at bwgconnect.com. Yeah. Kim,
Okay.
let's kick it off.
Great.
This is going to be fun.
Let's kick it off.
Yeah.
So one of the things we've heard it from our client base recently is, when you talk about PDPs, where do people land on the product pages? And so what we're going to talk about is really what do consumers want on PDPs? Not what do the brands want to provide, but like what do the consumers want? What are they looking for? How are they making decisions? And then how do the brands provide and how do they respond to that? The other thing we're going to go into is the whole topic that we're talking about today is voice of the shopper at light speed. So as everything has like gone threefold, fivefold, everybody has to catch up. So we use this kind of dynamic UGC, the what, the why, the how. How can we catch up? How can we almost get ahead, not be reactive, but be proactive when we're talking about UGC and what consumers want? Then we're going to get into this really great topic around the synergies of text and video reviews and what that future role looks like. We've all seen text reviews. We've seen some things come out recently in the press about fake text reviews and how the retailers are going to, hunker down, and they really want authenticity in this equation. They want video reviews from real people. And we're going to talk about the future role of that. The voice of the shopper is really all about, are we listening to the shopper throughout their purchase journey? Do we really understand how they want that experience? Do we understand how they want to buy from brands, buy from retailers? And then I thought I'd throw a little thing in at the end. As an ex-CFO, we always worried about debits and credits and supply and demand. And I thought we'd talk about the purchase funnel and kind of compare that a little bit to supply and demand from a marketing perspective, and then kind of drive that conversation. So we all know the big shift kind of took place during the pandemic. We had a couple things that were impacting retail e-com sales. Is we came out of a pandemic, people were buying from home. It went, threefold, fivefold, tenfold. The other thing we had money put into the system. We had a bunch of money put into the system. And so that will take 2 to 3 years to kind of go through the system. But what happens is they haven't changed their behavior. Consumers now feel more comfortable buying online. They feel more comfortable taking somebody else's opinion more than anybody else. So we had these shifts, and now we're never going back. So we have to kind of set up our organizations and set up our brands to kind of deal with this. So we call it kind of the dilemma of status quo. Didn't work to some degree, but now we have 81% of people say they prefer to watch a video. We're streaming, we're streaming shows. We're watching stuff that normally you could watch at 6 o'clock. We can watch it at midnight. We're looking at video and streaming and everything in a different way. So now people prefer video reviews because we say it, a picture, says 1,000 words. Over reading text reviews. And it could potentially be because we really don't want to take that much time, but also we can see somebody else, we can see another consumer that's using that product, and we kind of relate to them and we can see that.
65%?
Yeah. And this is from an article. I've sourced everything if people want to kind of go and look at the articles after. Yeah, 65%. So, and then 53%, is the produced video is the most successful type of content for marketing. So the game has changed, right? And now it's not like you pitch everything you did. It's kind of all these things are kind of working synergistically. So I think that's what we want to kind of take out of the call and have a discussion about today is synergistically, what types of things work together? We kind of know that photos and videos kind of work together. And we know now text and video work together. So we'll kind of discuss that a little bit. Do those numbers, Aaron, blow you away a little bit?
Yeah, they do from the standpoint. I mean, I'm from, the marketing side of, there's been so much on just content. And it's still then, okay, what's on the PDP and what's on the landing page, what's on the detail page. And a lot of it is, oh, well, we still have imagery, but the text. And yeah, I mean, video, everybody says put video on there. But this level and including the text, the video review over a text review just means it's at the next level. It continually evolves. I mean, I think we got here it's always faster than I think it's going to be, but I think people are to take a step back right now. And one of the things you're going to think is like, I mean, it's why I love these webinars and doing it with people like you guys, where it's just like, those are huge numbers. You can't not be putting as much emphasis on video as you used to just on static images, right? And the 5 images you have on the PDP.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so the shift is what do consumers really want? So, you see this number, like 77% of consumers always and regularly seek out visual content from others. So we kind of trust others. It's not that we don't trust brands totally, but, we want to see somebody else that's using it or wearing it or a facial cream that works or whatever. So I think some of these things, really, really matter. And I think we have to kind of, again, keep the consumer at the center of it and say, what do they really want? Well, we talked earlier about the synergy of like text and video reviews. And what we're really trying to get with consumers is we're trying to earn their trust. We're trying to get them to engage, and we're trying to increase sales. So, but that trust factor, the authenticity and the trust, and how you transition that over from a brand or a retailer and earn their trust. Once you earn it, how do you keep it? And so, constantly feeding with different videos, and as the product changes, updating things. the consumers are depending on that because they want to have this really engaging, exciting experience. But, when you keep a dynamic, you keep the dynamic part of it and you keep the text and the videos, then, you can kind of look at them both. If you're looking for more detailed features and functionalities on a product, you can go into the text reviews and get into the, the details about how it works, how easy it was to install, put together. You can look at that, but videos are so compelling and they're so great that you can look at it and say, that I can see myself using that, or I can see myself, using that facial cream or wearing that dress. So I think the synergy is something that, we want everybody to take away. And this isn't just us saying it, it's Bazaar Voice, it's Power Reviews, it's other people that are, really looking at this as well as us.
So quick question, jumps in. So is influencer marketing still relevant?
Absolutely. To drive.
It kind of falls into there, and I'll throw a little, I'm going to just, something that comes up quite a bit. So I'm going to expand on that a little bit though. There's also, so yes, but from a brand side, there's apprehension, especially from executive teams within brands about influencer, about UGC when it's not on brand and the potential implications. And so there's just like, I see, there's always this tug of, hey, produce more content. And what the marketing team wants to do is like, okay, I can produce more content, but the only way I can afford it and get the volume that we need is to get UGC. But then executive teams are sometimes at the point where they're like, we don't feel comfortable with that. And they don't feel comfortable with influencer marketing or affiliate.
Well, I think what we're saying is let's trust the consumer, let's trust the voice of the shopper, let's use that to kind of drive how we make those changes. I'll go into it a little bit later in the presentation, but we really want to listen. We want to give them updated content. We don't want something sitting for 6 months when they're in and out looking over time at a product. We want all of that fresh and dynamic, and we want to be able to listen to what they're saying about those products as well. We want to feed that system.
Awesome. And just a quick reminder for others, if you have questions, drop them in the chat or drop them in the Q&A and we'll get them answered.
So on everybody on the call, I like to kind of throw out a challenge is, I always like to look at everything I buy. And I went back and I just looked at, current PDPs. So I go out on Amazon and I'm, a super buyer of Folgers K-Cups. I was, using, they call it vanilla biscotti, and they just changed it without even asking me, but they went ahead and changed it and just said, now we have a French vanilla available. So what I thought was interesting is I went and I looked at, the K-Cups that I buy, and I went down, and if you look in the area on the left, they had videos. What I thought was most interesting is when I went to the current PDP, I went and looked at the box I buy. I normally buy like 6 12-packs, and I look at it and there's all these pictures of the box of the K-Cups. But when I clicked on a video, what I thought was most interesting is they were showing a carafe of coffee with a pour over and didn't have any video related to the actual K-Cups. There was nothing about the taste. There was nothing about, well, I put it with this cream or whatever. There was absolutely nothing in those videos to actually talk about the actual product. They were showing other kind of Folgers related products. So thinking to myself, I was like, okay, how would we change that? How would our team kind of go about changing it? What questions would we ask if we wanted to, make a difference? And so I think the question that I would kind of like to pose, to everybody on the call is, what if we inserted video reviews that represented voice of the shopper? I'm actually talking about a product that I buy obsessively and I love it. I could talk about it. I could be the voice. I'm the shopper. What if we actually switched out that box, that hero image box, and we actually showed a consumer using the product, reviewing the product, talking about the product, why they love the taste of the product? Why do I want to see something else like a carafe of coffee being a pour over in cheesecloth or whatever? It didn't even relate to the actual product. So those questions I would like to pose, to everyone on the phone. And if we drive more video reviews, and we know there's a synergy between the text reviews and the video reviews, why aren't we investing in that? Because if you did want to ask questions or go into the features and functionality or details of the product, how many K-Cups per box, how many in the 6-pack, then you could get into some of those text reviews and understand when people, you know, got them at home and they opened the box and stuff. You could get into more of those details in the text reviews. But there is a synergy to having those videos. And what if there's a day where we just land on, instead of the hero image, we land on that video and it just says everything Kim wants to hear because Kim buys these products. And Kim wants to kind of have a quick 30-second, 40-second coffee experience. We do know that the definition and the goal of PDPs, we're supposed to build trust in that product. We're supposed to have a great experience while we're buying that product. So, you know, if I had to go back to this Folgers, this Folgers product, you know, the video didn't even match the product. I don't need to see 6 images of the box. I'm asking about the actual product, the coffee product. So I think some of the questions, you know, I'd like to pose are these. Does it represent the voice of the shopper, me, Kim, buying it? What if we switch out the image and put a video in there? What if we do something crazy that works and gets to the point and gives them a great experience? And what if we actually worry about and analyze the text and the video reviews together so that we can actually make sure that we are providing the synergy and the experience and the trust that we want to build within that PDP?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the next level, which is they actually put the video that's most relevant to me for me and you for you.
Yes.
Because they have all the data, but then this can even be translated to a direct-to-consumer site. So I think there might be some restrictions on Amazon. Maybe I'm wrong on what you can put as the hero image or where you can drive people to. And I have a comment that comes in here. This is an interesting idea. I've never seen UGC type content or influencer content on Amazon. I wonder if there's a reason for it. Do they have any guidelines for what is allowed?
There are some guidelines, and there are some changes that are going to be made over time. I think that if we're thinking about it, and brands and companies are and people that are in this space are thinking about it, then I think it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
People, you know, if video is important, and we all believe that, and if there's synergy between video and text, I believe that we will. I think the pressures that be will move the powers that be in these directions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. There's comments rolling in. Yeah, it needs to be the strict guidelines are in place around what is the hero image. But I also agree that could change over time, where especially the rate at which people are consuming video as a whole and how precise they can get. I mean, they already do it on your recommended for you on Amazon Prime Video, right? Like, they already know you. They already know what's going to make you convert the fastest. And for some people, that might actually be a static image, and for others, it might be video.
Right. But I think the whole aspect of trust, okay, is that does it convey trust if you go in and you're looking for something specific and you see like the box, you don't see inside the box, and then you see a different product represented in a video? Right. I mean, I think we have to put trust back in the system, and trust that, you know, when you're in there, and it could be for less than a minute, that you're in there and you have the greatest experience, you have the greatest opportunity to kind of have a great shopping experience, get everything you want out of it. And then when you get the product, it's just like icing on the cake, right? It's just like, yeah, it was exactly what I looked at, exactly what I saw in the video. I mean, how many times have we bought something where you'll just read a quick, you know, 2 sentences, and it's not what you thought it would be. So I think that's why the synergy kind of, I think, will balance. But
I mean, the other part is, even if it's not on the hero, like I think another like key takeaway is the video, that with that many people wanting to watch it, it's almost a requirement now to have an accurate video up there, because even you're right, it can't be the hero images, right? But it's the first thing they're going to click on. Right.
Exactly.
And if it is just a normal brand video, I've seen those as well, where I'm on a detail page and I want to see the product and the features. I don't want to read through bullet points or product descriptions and scroll. I just want to watch the video, and it's all a brand video.
Exactly.
You totally lost me. It
Right.
totally.
Or we go down 2 or 3 pages and then there's, the carousel at the bottom. It's just, I think we're talking about today that this stuff is going to change. It's going to change very fast. And we really want to put a bug in everybody's ear, because if we're thinking about it and our clients are asking about us. Last week, I talked to somebody and they were just like, this would be great. And I'm like, well, if we're thinking it's great, then let's do it,
Yeah.
But I think this is where it's going. And I think we're positioning to go in this direction because it's what the consumer wants. And I think we really have to kind of stay on top of what they want.
100%.
Yeah. So this is just to point out, when people are researching, in-store purchases online, I think price is always a consideration, especially in an inflationary kind of time that we've been in for a while. And ratings and reviews still are very important, but the synergistic part of it with the text and the video reviews are highly, highly important. So we want to keep those two in mind. There's a physical dimension to when we buy, and there's an online dimension. Sometimes we search in one and buy in the other, and vice versa. So I think we just kind of have to keep those things at the forefront. But the considerations when making purchase decisions is ratings and reviews. They will take a different form. I think they're going to go from text and be synergistic with text and video. Photos and videos, content and UGC is at the forefront. It is the, it is the fuel for the marketing tank. It is what, and so the question is, do we do it once a year, once every 6 months, or do we make it more dynamic, more real time? So if the consumer's dynamic and if they're in real time and they're buying and connecting with us and all of that, we kind of have to get one step ahead of them, and we have to kind of have these systems be more dynamic. So UGC should be dynamic. We should be updating it more frequently. And the other thing is, we will never, I had the great opportunity to work at the company that invented Net Promoter Score and set metrics, and recommendations from friends and family is still extremely important in the purchase decisions that we make. So, we do trust when, somebody at work taps you on the shoulder and says, man, I tried this, it was off the charts. You're like, okay, you just, you're sitting there, boom, you bought it, sent it to your house within, 2 minutes time. So those are the top 3 things that are really kind of driving those pieces. But I think these things will morph a little bit. The ratings and review space will morph text and video. The photos and videos will morph from updating once or twice a year, or even a little more, to more dynamic, more real time, because now we have the horsepower, the software, and AI driving some of these feedback loops for us in order to make changes. But the recommendations from friends, family, and also colleagues at work really, really matter.
Yeah, if you're going the influencer route in UGC for creating text reviews, it basically combines the top 3 all together. What's your feeling like on, over the next year? How many people are going to have? What's the impact for people who don't go with video reviews?
And just stay with text reviews?
Yeah. How long do people have before this is this already fully in effect where you're seeing it actively today? Right. Because it's another thing, right?
Right. We're prime from people, companies that I've spoken to personally, and some of the clients that we've spoken to. I think I want to say we're at an early stage, but early, what does early mean when things are going at, light speed? Mm-hmm. So I think going into next year, it has to be on a priority list.
Okay.
So if you're dabbling in it, really dabble in it and turn the burners up to get both of them working in conjunction. So I think it's really important.
Yeah. It's also on the side of, consumers in most instances are used to just leaving a written review. Are you seeing that as a shift too? Or are you thinking more of a standpoint of, hey, there's ratings and reviews programs, like Vine with, I'm old school with Amazon, the old Vine program. Mm-hmm. But, are you seeing then platforms to generate these that are, easily tied in to Amazon, or I mean, anything can be tied into your direct consumer site. But are you seeing that is going to explode? Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what people want, right? Is to encourage an accurate, right, and well done review in video, which is just unique to come across.
Yeah, I think we have to leave. My recommendations would be to leave some of the doors open, allow them to post photos, allow them to do text reviews, allow them to provide video reviews, and leave some of those doors open, and then let the consumer, let the shopper call the shots, and let them, with the feedback that we receive with those feedback loops, let them prioritize, because they might change in the spring to summer. And if you have those listening posts open and you have the prioritization, let them drive how you kind of pivot.
Awesome. Yeah, I see. Yeah, Jackie writes in here. I actually like what Amazon is doing with AI generated review summaries, right? They're super helpful for customers.
Yep, super helpful.
Yeah. So
I guess the question is, where should you place your bets? Where should investments go? Definitely, this is just a chart showing, product marketing promotion. So still talking about the product, consumer driven content and photos. People want to see other people, storytelling, doing videos, text reviews, shooting a quick photo. They love, what I've seen in my background in research and insights is that we get I call it the outliers. We get the super happy and the super upset. The hardest part is to get in the middle. We want to hear from, the people in the middle as well. If we give them different types of outlets to kind of shoot a video, do a video review, do a text review, get those working together, update, pop a photo, show the installation, show the opening the box. We want to give them opportunities. And then as a brand or as a retailer, we want to be able to review that information. And so voice of the shopper, it really is now, it shoots through the entire path to purchase. So we want to give them through each part of that. We want to kind of keep our ears open and listen to what they're telling us. And when they're first learning about a brand or a brand launches, it's going to be different how they talk to us after they might have experienced the brand for a couple of years. So we want to, again, keep that path to purchase and keep that voice open. And what that voice gives us throughout the journey is, trust. Consumers want to see that it's authentic, and they want to see that it's interactive. I mean, you just think of everybody that's on with us today, how your lives have changed just in the last year or two, just interaction and digital, and how quick we are, and how fast we are to get what we want and talk about what we're using or what we love or what we're mad at. And so we want to be able to keep that voice of the shopper throughout the whole thing. And the way to do it is to ask questions along the way, leave some of the doors open so that they can let us know where things are working and not working. And then we have the opportunity to measure the impact on sales, but also to take that feedback and kind of pull it back in as we are actually making changes or dynamically changing either the content or, updating the reviews. Those things will take priority and those things will shift over time. But we want to keep that voice of the shopper throughout the whole process. So I thought it'd be fun. Aaron, when we spoke, it was like, I look at systems and I look at like the supply of the system and the demand of the system. And so shoppers, they create demand. If they did not create demand, companies wouldn't have to supply any products. So we have to really keep our eyes on what they're demanding. So they're watching videos because they demand it, right? They want to be convinced to purchase something. They demand it. They want to have an exceptional experience. They demand it. And, we ask ourselves every day, when does it become normal table stakes? And how can we even ratchet it up one little bit more to kind of knock their socks off? Because once they get used to it, and they'll get used to it quicker, then, we have to figure out a way how to knock their socks off. And right now, maybe the dynamic part of it maybe listening to them, maybe updating it and making changes dynamically based on what they're telling us. But I think the website, we need to understand what they want, and we need to basically have something in place where these reviews are embedded in the website so that people can kind of, instead of going in 3 different directions, we want them to be able to learn, review things, and buy in one place. We have to keep in mind that what they're demanding is make it simple, put me in a trusted environment. I like the interactivity and the newness, so knock my socks off. And so I think the challenge is we have to kind of keep up with them, with the shoppers, but we have, the question is, how do we surpass them? How do we give them that little extra edge? And maybe the dynamic and the real-time part of it, we believe is kind of the way to go.
No, I do. And I like it from the direct to consumer side, right? Because there's, a lot of comments around from the Amazon side, which we can, give them feedback, and they're going to make their own adjustments on the back end to help with conversion. But on our own direct to consumer side, we need to control where they land, and we get to control what's the first thing they see. And, you're right. We're at a point now where the technology is finally fast enough and it's good enough that you can start putting some really cool personalization tools in there. And the reality is all the data shows they're demanding videos. That's what they want. And you're right. We're at a point now where there's not enough of it out there. So they don't know they want it, but hey, nobody else is giving it to them. So you're just fine. But I think you could have some huge incremental, wins as a whole if you're adapting and testing and learning on this early on. And then, there's a great comment that comes in here. If you actually have buy with Prime, then you can actually pull in Amazon, product reviews from those pages. Again, getting to the review side, it would be really neat if video reviews launched on Amazon and again can be pulled in as well. But again, it's the video side of things that I think is the game-changing piece here. That I don't think a lot of cases, the marketers don't want, they know it's out there, they realize it, but it's also one more thing for them to go tackle to help with conversion rate as a whole.
Yeah. And at the speed, because the speed, so I think the question for everybody, just to, ask everybody on with us today is, ask yourself, did the PDPs that you represent and the websites build trust? Do they answer questions? Do they help shoppers purchase quickly and provide, the most exceptional experience? Or do they get in there, and they're trying to look for a review, or they're trying to look for a video, or they're trying to look for information? Just like my Folgers example, I went there, after buying the product, I was kind of let down, and it made an impression on me. And I was just like, maybe they got lazy with me. And maybe they're not doing what they should do. I'd like to see them do something different. So these are the things, because that's what they expect. So these PDPs and that I actually trust when I go there.
Love it.
Yep. So one of the things too, I think that's changed a little bit after the pandemic was, when you're launching a brand or you're out there, you're trying to build awareness. So, when you're doing a product launch or you're launching a brand, you're building awareness. But the funnel has become a little more, I think it's become different, because now, we all used to talk about the information part of it, the informed part. In consideration, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to not only be aware, but consider, this brand, this product. In consideration, in the consideration set too, we're also trying to go. So, Aaron, if you were like, didn't buy Folgers, but I'm trying to get you to buy Folgers, I'd like you to change off the coffee you're doing. So I'd like to kind of appeal to you to get you to put a brand that I'm trying to market and sell to you. I'm trying to get you to put that and trade off of what you're doing and get that in the consideration set. But I do believe that I pulled this up because, the informed part of it is that, are we doing our job from an informed part through text reviews, through video reviews, through UGC, through the content to really drive that, to make you not only be aware, but to change the consideration that you have about that brand and try to get you off of another brand and pull you away from a competitor. How many marketing meetings have you been in, Aaron, where you're trying to talk about how do we get people to trade onto our brand, or how we right? Still share, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was on the private label side, right? So we're trying to get share from national brand every day, all day, every day.
Every day, all day. So, these are the things that you kind of think about, because once you hit that like beautiful part where they're highly loyal and they kind of buy you blindfolded because they just have a great experience, they trust you, they love your product, and they're just boom, boom, boom. But then it's when you try something new, you get them quickly from awareness. So content is that wonderful thing that drives it. Content through videos, through reviews, through photos. It gets you through awareness. It gets you through the funnel into consideration, and you're sitting there and you get all the answers you want. So that you get the check, 100% on the informed part where you're driving it. So I wanted to take it. I wanted to have what I call a shake-up discussion with everybody on the phone today, because the other side of demand is supply. And so supply chains, when you see marketing, or you see reviews or photos, whether it's text review, videos, photos, content, supply chains that we represent, they need food. They need a source. So videos and photos and reviews are that food for this system. And this system uses the voice of the shopper from the intelligence that you gain. And then, so my challenge to everybody on with us today is, have you created a great video, photo supply chain? Is it dynamic? Is every decision you make within your supply chain driven by the voice of the shopper? Have you listened to the shopper enough to say, I know the priorities, I know 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? So that's the challenge. Going into 2024, you should know what's in your supply chain. You should listen to the consumer, have the prioritization from the intelligence that you're gaining from the voice of the shopper, and you should absolutely 100% know that supply chain. Know what that food is, how many times you have to update that, because that is the fuel and the food for this system.
Yeah, I love this standpoint. Really quick. I love this because
you can reuse it if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, because it does speak internally to a lot of people within organizations don't really understand what's taking place, right? They think video shoot, you do it once a year, twice a year. And with the supply chain, it never stops, right? We're always sourcing more bottles, more caps, more ingredients, whatever it might be, right? We're always sourcing more stuff. The supply chain doesn't stop, and it's always going. And we're also always vetting out new potential suppliers and testing and learning at what works. And is it less expensive? Is it more expensive? Is it higher quality, less quality? What works and what doesn't? And so many times I think everything that's taking place within digital marketers world right now is so complex, and people internally don't understand it. And this breaks it down. What we have here with content, with video, with reviews, with, static imagery, we've got a supply chain, and some of it comes internally, some of it comes externally through UGC, some of it comes through partners, and it all feeds in, but we have multiple supply sources for then what we need to use now as a brand. It didn't used to be that way, right? You've got the product, you got images, you put it in a magazine. Well, now it needs to be 360 or rotated. It needs to have all the ratings, all the reviews. It's got to have everything contextual. It's got to be personalized for the person who's looking at it. It's just so much more complicated. And I really, really, I don't know. I think this is a fantastic way to look at it. Lou writes in here, Kim is giving us all a look into the future. The PDP has been basically the same with some minor tweaks since I started selling on Amazon in 2009. This is right for complete disruption. Coming very soon, I suspect, and great discussion. Thank you for sharing this incredible perspective. And then
Thank you.
Claudia writes in, yeah, thanks, Lou. You're awesome. Is she referencing that voice of customers should drive the supply forecast? How do video intelligence alter supply chain? Please explain further. Oh yeah, I think it was just a different way of viewing it, not necessarily that it's a direct link to increasing supply. Although the higher conversion rate at the end of this funnel, right? It could in retrospect, but I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, Kim, but I was completely taking it like this is a different way that people need to be looking at the content that they're bringing in. It's not haphazard, right? And I think everybody's like, yeah, it's not haphazard. I have a lot of rules. I have a lot of paths. Well, if I can formalize it and put it into like, hey, everybody, here's our content generation, our review generation, whatever it might be, video, here's our different supply chains for getting the content we need to sell product like we've never sold it before.
Correct. And how many times do we have a marketing meeting that is about supply chain? I asked that last week to a global head of e-commerce. I said, when was your last supply chain discussion? And there was just dead silence for about 10 seconds on the phone. And he said, wow. And I said, well, that's where we're going. You are in the business of supplying. Who are your providers?
Yeah.
If you're the CMO, you own the supply chain. If you're the VP of marketing, you own that supply chain. If you're in brand, you own that supply chain. So we're just saying is use the intelligence to feed that system. The other thing, number two, it needs to be dynamic in real time. So real time can be if the consumer is saying updated every quarter, listen to the consumer. If they want fresh content, if they want fresh reviews, I mean, we know a review is kind of stale after 90 days. That's just a good rule of thumb. So we kind of know what the timelines are on this. So let's just think about this in a little bit different way. The other part, the middle of this pyramid is the display and the present part of it, the shoppable part of it. I went to a retailer 2 weeks ago and I was trying to buy a dress. There were 3 pop-ups. And by the time I got to the category, I'm like 2 or 3 minutes in, I literally lost my patience because the experience was so dated and everything. And I just emailed, someone and said, we really need to talk with you because this is not how it's supposed to be. It should be, I'm in there, I, filter colors, I filter, boom. So we just have to ask ourselves, the shoppable display, the presentation, the shoppable part of it, buy now, reviews, we should be able to chat within those. That's kind of where we're going. That's where we're at. And then the video intelligence or the insights intelligence, it will prioritize itself. But that review and analyzing the voice of the shopper, that should alter our supply chain by the intelligence that we gather and that we go back and feed the system and update the system.
Yeah.
But their websites, Aaron, you brought up direct to consumer. I think we have to keep in mind, I put a little note here. Everyone's website on today should be the backbone of this strategy and this system, the supply chain discussion. It should be the backbone, the supportive foundational backbone for the strategy and for the system that we create. But we shouldn't think about it just like a photo or a video. We should think about it as a system that we operate in. And the marketers own that supply chain. And the marketers and the insights team own that intelligence and working together to update those systems dynamically for the shopper.
Love it. So a couple questions. Well, I'm going to combine them because they're similar. It's about impact of conversion and sales lift of video reviews. So one is around ROI and KPIs, which then I think is conversion and lift. And the other one is do video text reviews impact conversion and sales lift?
Yes. And there's a way to analyze that through the platform and through the applications. Yep.
Awesome.
Great question.
Yeah. If there's other questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat or the Q&A. We'll keep tackling them. From your experience, do all products need a video or only novel or tech products?
Well, if you're thinking about, there's been, in my career, I've done text reviews, and I do believe even in certain food products, like a video, like when some people think, well, if it's food or whatever, they don't need a video. Well, if you're preparing food and you want to know how to, drive a sale, is teaching somebody how to do something different with the product, with the food product. So that video review, along with that text review or a photo, I think is invaluable. So I think they're both incredibly important.
Awesome. The other questions, will bringing video reviews and the PDP lead to new display platforms for text reviews? Where is it going?
I think it's shaking up, and I think people are thinking about how to put it together and present it. So I do think I think we're somewhat early in the fact that we're bringing all these together, but if there's companies that have platforms like for content and others like we do, I think that this is being driven, and I think we'll see those changes as we go into 2024.
I can totally see an AI, person, right? Generated person.
Yeah.
Like reading this, they're giving a voice to a text review. I can see that. I can totally see that, especially in a year from now where it's going to be hard to tell, year and a half, between AI generated video, a human in it and a non-human, and an avatar, we'll say.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
But I mean, look at how long we had all this software that did consumer set, that was doing word clouds and word count and all those other things. We're kind of past that. Now we're going to the next level of, when we bring these two things together. But I do think we have to keep focused on the trust element and on the authenticity. So as we go into the AI world, as people trust and as things are more authentic and as it's documented, I think we just kind of have to keep listening to the consumer, and as they get more comfortable with certain situations and certain systems, then we'll be more comfortable with those systems. Brands and retailers will be more comfortable with those systems.
Right. Next question is, so does the Cohley platform help generate video reviews?
Yes.
Awesome.
Or in French, oui, or in Spanish, sí. Aaron told me I got one ornery moment, so
yeah.
that was it. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's I mean, no, this has been great, because what we love is actually a lot of partners we bring on there aren't sales pitches. So sometimes we get in and people are like, wait a minute, do they do this, or are they just UGC? Is it an influencer platform? Because then we have another question. Maybe I'll kick it over to you to kind of address that, because some questions that are popping in here. But how do you deal with influencers who just want free stuff in exchange for content, even though their brand doesn't have anything to do with your brand?
Well, you can have, when you're thinking about launching a brand too, and you have people who will, think about it. When we're asking someone to do something, we have to pay them for the time, even in certain reviews, right? If they're reviewing 4 pieces of kitchen appliances and stuff, and they're doing an install and they're, learning how to use each product, they may spend 6 to 8 hours. The question is, how much do you compensate someone to actually take care of some of those tasks? Or if we're asking them to answer questions along the way, so that we can actually get at those, tidbits, I think we have to take those case by case. And understand kind of what we're providing and what we're asking the shopper to do as well in the equation.
Awesome. Let's see, these are just rolling in. Do you see retail networks driving vendors to create video reviews on their PDPs?
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I do think that you always ask the question, are the retailers ahead or the brands ahead? Are the brands trying to push stuff and the retailer, there's always that balance. And I think that's why we want to, take the stand that we kind of want to help, brands, our clients, work with retailers to kind of drive innovation and drive change, and vice versa. So I think I think 2024 is going to be, we thought 2020 was shaking things up. I think we're going to see some incredible shakeup and some really great stuff as we go into 2024. Because
Yeah.
Aaron, you brought up some great stuff, how AI takes the play, how
Mhm.
things become more dynamic, how do teams make better decisions. But I think if we know there's some fragmentation in marketing teams because somebody's handling e-com, somebody's handling an agency, somebody's handling something different. I think it'd be great to just like I made a recommendation to a global head of e-com last week. Get everybody in a room and talk about your supply chain. That's one thing that could bring you all together, is talk about your supply chain, your videos, your photos, your reviews, and how much you want to change them, and how you represent yourself, and how you look on your PDPs. And he was like, okay, it's a good, have two of those meetings, right? Just have that meeting and then tell me how it went, And so I think 2024, we're going to see some amazing stuff, and it's going to be like we said, on the presentation today, it's going to be at light speed. And I think that there's everybody on the phone today, and yourself, Aaron, and your organization, you guys are so innovative, and this is why we want to have these kind of conversations, is we want to push the systems to be better, and we want to be there for the consumer, and we want to push innovation, and we want to make things easier for them, for the consumer, for the shopper.
Awesome.
It gives me chills. I just got a chill on the phone today.
No, this slide here is there's those moments where it like kind of completely shifts how you view how you've been thinking about it, because the supply chain piece, and Jessica writes, and love this webinar so much, so informative. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
But
We're honored.
But when you're creating that, because you're talking about supply chain, it is listening to the voice of the consumer. What do they want? Right? It is, what do we need to provide right now? And, obviously a supply chain, you're creating something that you're not going to get to the end consumer for a long time. And whether that's a traditional supply chain or this supply chain we're talking about. So then what do we need to be thinking about for next quarter, next year, around the content that the consumer is currently demanding that we need to produce for them? And then work back into, okay, if that's the type of content they want, okay, how are we going to get all of that? How are we going to source it? And how much can we do internally? And how much do we need to get external? And what are the partners we need to find?
Right.
And
how do we, turn it on and put the system in a platform that makes it easy for us, so that we can do this even in a more automated way and go faster?
Does Cohley do content creation is the next question.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a quick overview of the Cohley platform? Like that would be awesome, because I think like that's probably in a lot of people's. What I love about Cohley as a team is you're jumping on. It's just thought, knowledge sharing as a whole.
Yeah.
And there's no sales pitch, but I don't mind you like telling people, because I think a lot of people are like, this is incredible. Who are these people? What do they
I
do?
I know. I mean, think of it like, this incredible, amazing group of people, but this amazing platform that allows creators and reviewers to get in and help brands launch, create videos and photos, and create stuff that's going to launch brands, drive brands, and all on a platform, so that we can see everything they're doing, answer all the questions, and all the things that we talked about. Giving the voice, having access to the shopper, listening to the shopper. We do that as we're creating all of this incredible UGC for consumer brands, as we have that in the platform, that those listening posts, the questions in there. We can, have these consumers, these creators or reviewers go in and kind of respond and want to help give information and help take photos or do videos about certain products. And it's all within the platform, so that the teams could get in there and access whatever they want. So it is a marketing platform that can connect and drive this type of supply chain for brands.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And there's really, really cool people at the company that are really, really fun, and they're really, really smart about this, and they have a blast doing what we do. We love we love doing what we do, because we're helping brands sell more stuff to consumers that want to buy their stuff. And that, whenever you're able to help a shopper find what they want, buy something, and get tickled about buying it, then you're in the right business.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
We are right at time here. I told everybody we'd wrap up before 2:30 Eastern, so they can get to the next meeting without being late. But Kim, thanks so much.
Well,
You
thank
guys
you
are so
everybody
awesome.
on the Aaron, thanks to you and your team. You guys are amazing. I just was so honored to be on today, and thank you for everybody for taking their time today. You know, everybody at Cohley says thank you, and myself. So I'm honored. Thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the day.
Yeah, everybody take care. Stay safe.
Okay.
Look forward to having you at a future event. Thanks again, Kim.
Thank you.
We're
Cheers,
signing off
everyone.
now. We'll see you.
Okay.
Alrighty,
Bye.
bye-bye.